Hi everyone, this is Darcy with Preserving My Sanity, and this is another episode of What's in Your Fridge. Today we're actually going to talk about freezers because uh, that's actually something we're trying to work on in our house right now, using some things out of our freezers. So I thought that we could talk about that today. So if you have any ingredients that you're wanting to use out of your fridge or freezer or pantry, feel free to share them in the comments, and we can brainstorm ways for you to use those things. But basically, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we manage the freezers in our house, and hopefully it might give you some tips for maybe you're struggling to use things from your freezer. So maybe something I share today might help you. So basically, I thought I'd tell you first just what we have in our house. We have two kind of medium-sized chest freezers that we keep in our porch. We put all of our meat and things like seafood, onions, peppers, garlic in one freezer. That basically, I do it that way because some of those things can tend to kind of put off a smell in the freezer, especially like with us, we bring a lot of fresh shrimp home from North Carolina every year when we visit, and so that actually kind of can make the freezer smell like fish, and so I keep all of that stuff in one freezer together. And then in our other freezer we have things like all of the fruits and vegetables from our garden that we freeze, any leftovers that we might freeze, cheese, things like that. Any open jars of jam that we don't eat in time that I might freeze for a while, ice cream, all of that stuff goes in the other freezer. So, and then of course we have the refrigerator freezer, and we don't really keep a lot of stuff in there, ice, and I make usually like smoothie packs, or we'll keep some fruit and juice and things like that up there for easy access. So that's kind of how we store our things, and the chest freezers can be a little bit of a challenge because you have to dig down to the bottom. If you guys have a chest freezer, you know what I'm talking about. Everything gets to the bottom, and sometimes it can be hard to get things out. We put cardboard boxes in the bottom of ours to keep some things in, and then as you go up to the top of the chest freezer, we use things like grocery bags, and then we have baskets in the top as well. I haven't ever had an upright freezer. I think I would be tempted to switch to one at some point, because I think it probably would be a little easier to access everything if it was in a upright freezer. But for now, we just have the chest freezers, and we make them work for us. One thing, and this sounds a little funny maybe, but one thing I might suggest to you is having one person who's in charge of the freezers. In our house, it's me. And it's not for control purposes, but it's just because if that person, when you clean the freezer out, you can see what's in it. When you put everything back in the freezer, you know where you put it, you know where it is. And especially in the summertime, when you're looking for something in the freezer, you don't want to be opening it for a long time to try to find what you're looking for. So it really works the best if you have a pretty good idea where things are. And so we just find that it works the best if one person is kind of in charge of the freezer, and that person is the person who goes and gets the things out when you need them. It just saves you from keeping that freezer door open for too long. And kind of along those same lines, you also want to be making sure that you're cleaning your freezer out on a regular basis. So I probably do ours once every 3 months. And so that helps, remove the frost that builds up from having that door open, which is, really good. It makes it run better and all of that. But it also is helpful because it lets you get a look at what is all in the freezer. If you don't clean it out as often, you're more likely to have things get down to the bottom where you forget you have them, or, they get freezer burnt and you can't use them, or, whatever. So it's good to get in there every 3 months or so, I think, and I pull everything all the way out and I defrost them completely, and then I put everything back in. And then as I'm putting everything back in, I'll look at what's in there that we should use, and I'll try to leave that up to the top. And then another thing that's helpful is like we keep all of our venison burger and steaks and sausage that we make all kind of down in the bottom. So as I'm cleaning the freezers out, then I'll pull like a couple of packages of each thing up to the top in the top basket. So then when we want to have burger pulled out to eat, then I don't have to dig all the way to the bottom because I've got a package or two up top. So that kind of helps too, again, minimizing how much I have the freezer door open. Another thing that I try to do when I have everything pulled out is just see what we should be eating more of, especially like this time of year where we've already planted our garden. We've planted our garden for this year, and we're anticipating hopefully having things to put away in the freezer when the garden's ready. And so it's time to eat what's already in there. Whatever we froze last year, if we haven't eaten it yet, it's time to eat it now. And so you can do this a couple of ways. You can just try to remember. You can make a list. I know some people keep a list like taped to their freezer that has kind of a summary of some of the things that are in the freezer or some things that you want to make sure you get used. For a while I tried a spreadsheet, and that was kind of a dumb idea. That was a little bit much to keep up with, but I think keeping a list by the freezer that says, okay, of the vegetables we have, these are the things we should eat first. Like for us, I know I have shredded zucchini left from last year's garden. We have some sweet corn left from last year, cubed butternut squash. We actually have quite a bit of Swiss chard and kale in the freezer. So as we're planning our meals for the next month or so, I know that we should be eating some of those vegetables. I should be planning meals where we can eat those things so we can get those things out of our freezer and enjoy them. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them while I'm talking. It looks like somebody just popped on. But I just wanted to share a little bit about how we manage things in the freezer, because I know it's really frustrating when you find something that was really good and it's too late to eat it because it's been in there for too long or whatever. So if you guys have any questions about anything that I just talked about, feel free to ask in the comments. But yeah, like I said, we're just working on trying to plan meals around what we have in the freezer so we can start making room for what we get out of the garden this year. So thanks so much for tuning in today, you guys. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.